Cardinal rule number 2 for me is never talk to a person that is talking back to me. I'm Nicolene Peck, and I have had experience with some of the most difficult children out there, and I am here to tell you how to handle it when they're talking back without losing your cool. Do you have one of those children who is a little litigator? There are so many parents that come up to me and say, my child better be a lawyer because they sure do know how to debate. And I think to myself, I'm not sure if they should be debating with you necessarily, unless they do it with a calm face, voice, and body, and with a skill called disagreeing appropriately. There are 5 steps to disciplining a child who talks back to you. And the first step happens before they ever even talk back to you. This step is called planning for success. If you're going to effectively correct your children for talking back, you've got to prepare them for what is to come. So what skill do they need? They need disagreeing appropriately. This book here teaches the skill disagreeing appropriately. It's called Paige Takes the Stage. The skill for disagreeing appropriately goes like this. You look at the person, you keep a calm face, voice, and body. You say that you understand the other person's point of view. Then you share your point of view. You listen to what they have to say. Then you say okay and drop the subject. When might a person need to use this skill? For sure with parents, but what about teachers, neighbors, grandparents, siblings, friends? We all use the skill disagreeing appropriately. What if they don't use the skill properly? What are you going to do then? Well, again, you have to pre-teach them for exactly how you will handle the situation if they choose not to use the skill that you've already taught them. So in our family, we do an effective correction. The effective correction is essentially a description of what went wrong, a rationale, a description of what went right, and then I tell them what they earned. Then we practice doing things the right way, doing role play practice. Then they get the opportunity to earn an extra chore because work is the antidote for a sick character. Then they check back from that and drop the subject. They know that's what they have to do and what we will do if disagreeing appropriately doesn't happen. So what step to the skill disagree appropriately might I correct? Well, if they start talking to me in a way like this, even if they're trying to say they understand me and don't, then I'll know they don't have a calm face, voice, and body. So that's what I would tell them needs to change. If they say, can I disagree appropriately? And I say, yes. And then they say, Mom, I understand that you don't want me to go outside and play after dinner, but I told Johnny that I would come. And then I say, I know that you want to go, sweetie, but I'm still going to have to give you a no answer, and you're going to need to accept that, which, by the way, is another one of these skills right here. This book, Porter Earns a Quarter, teaches how to accept a no answer. So that's going to be helpful for them. But I'll just say, so you'll need to accept a no answer. At that point, if he says, but Mom, I told him I would go out. Then what is he not doing? He is not dropping the subject. So I would need to do a correction because he is not dropping the subject. And when we do our practices, we would make sure we really hit home the importance and benefit of dropping the subject. Step number 2 for correcting a child that talks back is still something you do before they even start talking back. It's another type of pre-teach. It's called prep. It's a pre-teach that you do right in the minute. So I've already taught them how to disagree appropriately and how to accept a no answer, how to follow an instruction, how to accept consequences. They know all of these great skill sets. So in the moment that they're going to need to practice using one of these skill sets, I prep them. So I say, I'm going to give you a no answer. Do you remember how to accept a no answer? And then they say, yes. Then I say, okay, tell me the steps. Or I say, that's great. Now just remember to look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. Here's your no answer. No, you can't go out and play with Johnny right now, okay? At that point, you have prepped their brain to do the right skill. Then they'll say, okay, you praise them. That's how it works. It seems weird to tell a person exactly what you're going to do right before you do it, but these types of preps are magic for the brain. Because if I've taught them the skill accepting a no answer, and then I say, okay, remember how to accept a no answer. Here comes a no answer. This is how you accept it. No, their brain immediately goes, oh yeah, okay, I need to look at the person, keep a calm face, voice and body, say okay, and drop the subject. Okay, boom. And then they just do it. It's amazing. That's step number 2. We haven't even got to the moment where they might start talking back yet. Step number 3. We've already kind of touched on it, but it's correct them if they don't disagree appropriately. The target skill they need if they want to have an opinion and talk back to you, in order to do it appropriately, they need to use the skill disagreeing appropriately. If they don't use that skill, but they just start talking back, you are not going to talk back to them. In fact, what you're probably going to do is just start a correction. So you'll say to them, just now I gave you a no answer. And you looked at me, but you did not keep a calm face, voice, and body. We've already done this. I explained just a little bit earlier what a correction sounds like. The important thing is you correct with a calm voice tone, and you describe instead of react. That's what makes a really good correction. Tell them what they did, what they should have done, why it was a bad idea, what they should do in the future, maybe why that's a good idea, and then have them practice it the right way and accept their consequence. Their hearts should be turned toward you during this process. When you correct your children, it should be a bonding moment, a moment that feels okay, not like they did something bad. In fact, when I answer these questions online all the time, all the questions come across as, what do I do when my child is bad? But you know what? The children aren't bad. They just make a choice here and there. And we need to be okay with a wrong choice, even a bad choice. We need to not take it personal so that it's safe for them to correct it and move on. If people start taking it personally, they hold on to the choice even tighter. Step 4, praise them when they do it correctly. So if your child takes the time to disengage his emotional part of the brain and engage his logical processing, that prefrontal cortex, that's a huge move. That's a big action and a great choice. At that moment, he will have communicated calmly, disagreed appropriately with you. Praise him. If a person is going to learn self-government, which is what I'm passionate about teaching people, and I know is possible for even young children to start learning, they have to learn cause and effect, which means that when they do something good, it needs to feel good. So show them that they've made the right choice by giving them good praise. And just like with the correction, don't just praise with emotion. Describe what went right. That's the best kind of praise they could get. Step 5, see their side and make a choice that will help them choose to disagree appropriately with you in the future. When I have a child that chooses to disagree appropriately, I really appreciate that. And I also feel like that is a huge step forward for them emotionally and with their relationships for the future. I want them to know that that was the right choice. So if it's not anything major, if it's something just like, I want another cookie, can I play a little longer? Can I have some time to watch this game? Can I help you make the cookies? Something like that. If they say, Mom, may I disagree appropriately? I'll say, yes, you may. And they do that full disagreement. I'm going to say, yeah, you can have the last cookie. Yes, you can come to the store with me. I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to show them it works. If the disagree appropriately skill works for them, they will use it more. Now, here's a little warning. Children that are first taught how to disagree appropriately recognize it works really quickly, except for the oppositional defiant ones who don't really want to stop being emotional and they hate the skill, but you just have to teach them to use it anyway. Anyway, it works really well at first. And so they will disagree appropriately about everything, literally everything. And some parents can get pretty worn out about that, But don't let yourself. Just remember that part of disagree appropriately is also sometimes to be able to accept a no answer in the end. Disagreeing appropriately is for children of any age. In fact, there are a lot of skills that children of many different ages can use. I think you'll enjoy the next video that my team has put a link to up here in the corner called How to Communicate with Children of Different Ages.